Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So in this video we're going to be talking about the Battlegrounds MVPs of the current Gladiator circuit meta and taking a look at my deck as well. We're going to kind of combine that, but I'm going to be going through my deck and explain which champions have been putting in the most work, which haven't, and also point out a few champions that I have stopped running or plan to stop running, so on and so forth. Because well, this is the second season now. I'm kind of trying to get back into swing of things with Battlegrounds. I did finish last season C5, somewhere in the middle of C5, I believe around 50th spot. So far, currently, I have made my way up to 17th spot in C5 as well. So we're slowly getting better, and hopefully we'll be able to crack that C4 level or close to it by end of the season or in the next one. But that said, let's take a look at the deck that I'm currently running, and I'm going to explain the champions there. First, we're going to go through them briefly, and then we're going to take a look at them, which ones are doing the most work, which ones are so-so, and which ones I'm thinking of changing. So we have America Chavez, Domino, Sasquatch, Atuma, Silk, Werewolf by Night. Werewolf by Night mainly because it's full moon right now. We have Serpent, Moleman, actually been hidden gem, Red Guardian, Onslaught, Tiger, Nick Fury, Warlock, Photon, Unduped, still unfortunately, CGR, Pam, Hulkling, Havoc, Mr. Sinister, Archangel, rank 3 Red Skull, rank 3 White Tiger, Bullseye, Mantis, Hulk, Spider Ham, Korg, Juggernaut, Ham, Finty, War, and Dust. So Chavez has been absolutely brilliant. I wouldn't necessarily call her one of the MVPs, but she's still putting in work in plenty of the matchups. And the important thing is to remember, in this meta, you can still use energy damage champions as long as you are not putting energy dots on the opponent and relying on them for damage. For instance, you can still use somebody like Prowler, for instance, or even Warlock. You can use Warlock's level 1. Opponent's gonna get a shock debuff, they're gonna get a big energy resistance, but all of the other damage that Warlock does is physical, so the energy damage will not matter at all, or the resistance to it. So effectively, this is kind of like a nuke meta, and it shows. Like most of the fights are like sub 60 seconds. We take a look at the matchup history, where we go here in a generic match here. So 58 seconds versus 108. Okay, that was Sasquatch being chunky. 71 seconds versus 61 seconds. 63 versus 117. This was actually quite long. And then we have 63 seconds versus 66 seconds. And 91 versus 98. Okay, that was a bit slow as well. I think when Beto beat me, this was ridiculous. I lost this one by 40 points. But yeah, that's kind of the average durations of the matches here. So 90 versus 60, 40 versus 56, and 56 versus 93. So it's a nuki meta, it really is. Unless you're kind of completely outdrafted. Alright, so back to the point. Domino is doing great as always. Sasquatch actually has been awesome offensively, not as effective defensively. Atuma is being great. The reason why Atuma is very good in this meta is because some of the most popular counters against Atuma do not work. And really, in vast majority of the decks, there's only like one good counter against him, which is Onslaught. Silk's great. Then Werewolf by Night, he's fairly new in the deck, but has been somewhat useful. Obviously, Serpent's crazy good. Moleman has been my... sorry. Moleman has been my secret Red Skull counter, but you can take a whole bunch of different matchups with him. But yeah, some of the best use for Moleman that I have gotten is to take Red Skull with him. Start the fight with getting lucky and landing about 3 or so parries, bait out the level 1, and then you can just nuke him. Red Guardian is a fairly decent nuke for the meta as well. Onslaught is definitely one of the most important champions in the meta. Tiger is at the moment there purely just because of Serpent matchup, and even that can go bad. But yeah, I have been largely using Tiger just for Serpents for most part. Nick Fury is gonna go out. I'm gonna have to figure out what to replace him because just far too many champions completely nuke down Nick Fury. Warlock's been my surprisingly useful bullseye counter because you can play Warlock in a manner where bullseye never reaches a bar of power, and then you never have to deal with the weight. It's typically 60 to 80-second fight, and he remains at like 93 to 95% health, and that's quite good against bullseyes. So Photon, um, I'm actually banning Photons. Photon's a fairly big problem for me in this meta. And even though I do have a rank 3 Unawakened, even a 6-star rank 5 Ascended is better defender. So more often than not, I end up getting rid of Photons. Because Photon's also very capable on attack in this meta. Obviously, CGR is still doing CGR things. Pam's being fairly decent in this meta. I wouldn't say excellent, but you know, he's solid. Hulkling, the same thing. This isn't necessarily a meta where I can see Hulkling absolutely dominating, but he is a better defender than normal. One of the kind of like surprisingly useful champions has been Havoc, because Havoc can take a lot of champions fairly well. Like, he can do fairly well against Tumas and Korgs. He's not going to be the fastest, but he can take them quite safely and quite well. And then on defense, he can be kind of a hidden horse because this is a very nuky meta, and that not that many champions are actually very good against Havoc. So I've been enjoying Havoc. Mr. Sinister, again, very good for bullseyes. Obviously not the fastest. Onslaught is the best counter for full bullseye in this meta. But Mr. Sinister can still do it quite well. The trick is kind of like not to block all the level 1s, but when you have no debuffs on Bullseye, then just eat the level 1s in the face. And he's still a very, very good defender. You do need to try and protect your Mr. Sinisters from CGR though, because CGR absolutely nukes him down. Anyhow, Archangel honestly hasn't been the greatest for me. Some people always tend to be able to nuke my Bullseyes with their Archangels. I never really get that RNG, or something goes wrong. And other than that matchup, haven't really used him that much. Red Skull has been great. He's still very good for like domino in like 60 or so seconds. You can't do his real rotation, but you can still spam level 1s and you're gonna be fine. Then we have White Tiger, one of the MVPs for sure in the meta. White Tiger is very good for Hulkling because her bleed, you know, effectively is paused whilst he's immortal, and then that bleed damage goes crazy. White Tiger is good for Serpent. That's super helpful, as well as Sasquatch and Nick Furies and a handful of other champions. Bullseye, no argument there. Mantis is there mainly for the matches where if I do not end up banning Photon, then, you know, Mantis is still one of the better Photon counters. Hulk's very solid in this meta, has been one of my backup domino counters as well, because he can take that matchup quite well. Wish my Hulk was rank 3, to be honest. Spider-Ham, being, again, doing his regular Spider-Ham things, no major issues there. Then we have Korg. Korg's, again, seemingly slightly better, more useful in this meta when you can protect him from somebody like Juggernaut. Juggernaut is hands down my offensive MVP. Whenever I grab Juggernaut, I feel that much more confident. He can finish fights out so ridiculously fast. And then Iron Man Infinity War, I added him back in the deck fairly recently. Haven't had much chance to test him so far. He hasn't worked out the greatest. Dust has been fairly solid though. And then if you go back, Bishop you can still kind of use, by the way, because that energy resistance only gets applied after the level 2 drops and that Incinerate activates. And yes, you will miss out on the Incinerate damage, but the level 2 hit damage will remain, and the rest of his base hits are, well, physical. Then I was running Scorpion for a while, but he didn't really seem to be working out for me either. Obviously, Kate kind of sucks in this meta. Herc might be an option to add back in, maybe. We'll take a look at that. I have seen quite a few people running Prowler, but I'm still not feeling as confident with the champion as I should be. Prowler still kind of works, even though he applies Incinerate on the opponent, which is Energy Dot. He's in all of his damage coming through Raptures, so that still works out perfectly. Might test out adding Thing to my deck. Actually, we'll do that right now. Then Human Torch obviously doesn't work in this meta. Kingpin was so-so. He's all right, not the, but again, he did did not seem to be doing that well for me. And those are effectively my early thoughts. Um, this is my current deck again, and largely it's just the nuke meta. I imagine like there are about like 5 to 10 champions that we each run different aside from our staples, because at the moment if you're playing battlegrounds you kind of have to be running that jugs and bullseye and red skulls and onslaughts and dusts and serpents and you know, Sasquatches and dominoes and so forth. There's not that much left for the variants of the decks. But there are plenty of other champions that can work extremely well, depending on who you have ranked up. And that's also a super important thing to point out here. Even if you do not have these exact same champions, there are a whole bunch that still will do well in this meta and are visible based on your own personal rank ups. Like if I quickly go to my 7-star rank techs, for instance, Starkhan's Spider-Man is phenomenal still in this meta as well, as Howard the Duck is seeing quite a lot of gameplay. If I had my 7-star duped, I would rank 2 him and he would be in my deck for sure. Then, as I mentioned before, I'm Infinity War, who is in my deck. We can still definitely see Null running around quite well in this meta. People are using Null, and if you're Hyperion's Awakened, Hyperion can be crazy good for this too. I've seen rank 3 Hyperions. I took my Maestro out as I don't think rank 2 is quite chunky enough anymore. If he was rank 3, he would be in my deck as well. Adam Warlock is somebody that I might be adding in. Also, we'll see how that works out. When it comes to the skill champions, obviously Killmonger is still perfectly viable, just protecting him from CGR mainly. Black Cat is somebody I might be adding back in too. But ultimately, it's mainly about which champions you typically struggle with the most, and then just getting some more counters to that in the deck, as always. But I know quite a few of you wanted to see my deck. This is what I have been using so far this season for most, and I hope the video is useful to you guys. Let me know who have been your MVPs personally, and I will catch you guys soon. Bye-bye. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about